What is up, folks? Overlord here, coming at you with another video. This time we're taking a look at which Pokemon I'd like to see playable in Pokemon Unite. I've been playing this game a lot since release, and I'm really enjoying it. My list isn't necessarily the most realistic choices for getting in, but instead littered with a bunch of my favorite Pokemon. For variety, I also included at least one Pokemon from each generation and one of each type. Originally this was supposed to be a top 10 list, but I had too many favorites I wanted to include. I'll also talk about the potential moveset ideas for these Pokemon that I had while making the video to give each Pokemon more of an identity rather than just stating which ones I wanted in. Enough delay though, here's my Pokemon Unite wish list. First up, I gotta include Wobbuffet. This is my overall favorite Pokemon of all time, largely from watching the anime growing up, but I like Wobbuffet's concept too. Not being able to attack regularly, then doubling back damage is quite the unique idea. In Pokemon Unite, I could see Wobbuffet as either a defender or support. The auto attack could be a simple melee hit, but then for specials it could have counter and mirror coat. It could function by the player activating the ability, and if Wobbuffet was attacked within 5 seconds for example, the damage dealt to it would be doubled back at the attacker. Wobbuffet could also get Safeguard like Blissey has, and possibly even Destiny Bond as a last ditch effort to take down its attacker with it. Destiny Bond may need some tweaking though, as taking out a full HP opponent for free if they take you out could be a little overpowered. Shadow Tag could be implemented as Wobbuffet's passive, maybe slowing opponents' movement speed while close to Wobbuffet to mimic the main game where they can't switch out while facing off against Wobbuffet. As much as I'd like to keep talking about Wobbuffet, there's still many others to go, so let's continue. My next pick is Porygon-Z. Personally, I'm more of a Porygon-2 fan, but having Porygon-Z would still put Porygon-2 in the game. Porygon-Z would probably be an attacker due to its insane special attack in the main games. This could be an interesting case since Porygon-2 is more tanky than Porygon-Z. It could be developed by making Porygon-2 have more defenses than Porygon-Z, but then on evolution, Porygon-Z gets a big attack boost. Possible moves for it could be Tri-Attack or Hyper Beam, with Tri-Attack giving a chance of a random hindrance like Alolan Ninetales Freeze, Charizard's Burn, or Pikachu's Paralysis Slow. Hyper Beam would just be for raw damage and could be similar to Venusaur's Solar Beam, but maybe it makes Porygon-Z unable to move for a few seconds since it would be so powerful, and to mimic the recharge turn in the main games. It could also have more defensive moves such as Recover to gain some health back, and could function similar to the potion item already in Pokemon Unite. Restoring half HP may be too powerful if the cooldown was quick enough, and would need to be balanced to ensure it's not too powerful. Regarding the ability, it could give Porygon-Z adaptability, but it'd just make all normal moves do even more damage. It could also get Download, and either up the damage on its autos or specials depending on the opponent's defenses. It could also get Analytic, making Porygon-Z deal extra damage on its next attack after it takes a hit from something. There's a lot of options for Porygon-Z's passives. Next up we have Regirock, one of the few legendary Pokemon I have on my list. Although Regigigas is already a main boss objective, that doesn't automatically stop Regirock from being playable. This is my favorite Regi of the bunch. I really enjoy using it while playing official Pokemon battles. Regirock would most likely be a defender due to its insane defense stat. It could also have Rock Slide in the early game like how Dwebble already does, but later get more powerful moves such as Stone Edge or Superpower. Stone Edge could retain its high crit chance and deal a lot of damage, while Superpower would be a powerful move, but could assign an attack and defense debuff for a short time after using it. Regirock could also get Zap Cannon for a projectile attack, with an added bonus to stun or slow the opponent hit by it, allowing itself and teammates to close the gap on a faraway opponent. It could also have a defensive option such as Curse, where Regirock will get a damage and defense buff for a short while, but will move slower while it's active. This would be extremely useful while defending your own score goal. Regirock's passive would most likely be Clear Body, which would be a super good ability to have. It can make Regirock immune to an opponent's debuffs to its stats like damage or speed reduction move, or it could also get Sturdy, which would be made to function the same as Crustle's already existing Sturdy. Dracovish is the next Pokemon on my list. I could see Dracovish being an all-rounder with decent defenses and a good damage output. This is my favorite Generation 8 Pokemon and quickly became one of my favorite Pokemon ever too. And you know, you can't talk about Dracovish without mentioning Vicious Rend. This would be a no-brainer to give Dracovish in this game. It could work like if Dracovish hits the opponent before getting hit itself, the Vicious Rend will do double damage. But if Dracovish takes the hit first, it'll do regular damage. It encourages stealthy sneak attack initiation when starting a fight with Vicious Rend. Dracovish could also get Outrage or Dragon Rush, Outrage for dealing more damage, but then maybe stun Dracovish after repeated use for a second to mimic the confusion from the main game. Dragon Rush could function the same as Garchomp's, having opponents be shoved in a direction. It could also get Dive, Waterfall, or Surf as a second water move. Dive could function similar to Cramorant's, and so many water types have Surf, but they seem to all have different properties, so something could be done with that. Waterfall could be unique since we haven't seen it yet in the game. It could have Dracovish dash and stun an opponent to give it the flinch effect. For passive, Dracovish could have Strong Jaw, as it's probably the most practical choice out of Water Absorb and Stand Rush, but it could power up bite moves, making Vicious Rend even more powerful. To add more use to this, some moves could be swapped out, giving Dracovish Crunts or Psychic Fangs instead of only Water and Dragon moves. Ferrothorn is up next, my favorite grass type and a defensive powerhouse. Ferrothorn would be a defender given its great defensive stats. There's a lot that could be done with this Pokemon, but here are some of my thoughts. Ferrothorn could be given Leech Seed to throw onto an opponent, then have their HP drained every couple seconds, sending that HP to Ferrothorn. This could either stick to a specific opponent and go away after a certain time has passed, or be an AoE on the ground, and standing in it would transfer their HP to Ferrothorn while damaging them. You could also get Gyro Ball as a quick dash option, rolling forwards dealing quite decent damage, sort of like how Snorlax's Heavy Slam allows for a quick movement option while dealing damage. Power Whip could be another one of Ferrothorn's moves. It'd just be a hard-hitting attack dealing damage to opponents that find themselves in its path. It could also get Iron Defense for raising defense, allowing for more survivability. If Iron Defense was in though, a move could be swapped out with Body Press, so a combo could be done, making Body Press do more damage while Ferrothorn has the defense buff from Iron Defense. Its passive would be Iron Barbs. It could function similar to Garchomp's Rough Skin, making an opponent take damage after hitting Ferrothorn. There's a lot of potential here, so I hope Ferrothorn makes it in. Another legendary on my list is Heatran. I always use Heatran on my competitive Pokemon teams, as its defensive typing is too good to pass up. It's also a really good Pokemon overall, making it one of my favorites. Heatran could work in a number of roles, being attacker, defender, all-rounder, but for this video I'd put Heatran in the all-rounder category due to its decent stats across the board. Heatran could have Magma Storm as one of its moves, dealing a lot of damage and trapping opponents. It could either be a quick stun like Hurricane, or something like Pikachu's Electro Web. It could have Heat Wave too, dealing damage to any Pokemon in its path and setting them on fire as well. Flash Cannon is another option Heatran could have. It'd be a damaging projectile that temporarily lowered the target's special defense stat. Heatran could also get Iron Head for a quick dash option, headbutting foes and potentially adding a stun effect too. For its passive, Heatran could have Flash Fire or Flame Body. Flash Fire would have to be altered since taking no fire damage would essentially make Pokemon like Charizard useless against it. But having Flash Fire could make Heatran's fire attacks do more damage when at a certain health range or something. Flame Body could work like normal, make opponents who have physical contact with Heatran get burned for a few seconds and drain some of their health. Sharpedo makes its way up next, and the first speedster so far on this list. Sharpedo has an overall sick design in general, and I've always liked how this Pokemon looks. Sharpedo being a speedster translates really well from the main Pokemon games. It does a lot of damage, but is super frail and gets taken out relatively quick. Sharpedo could have Flip Turn as one of its attacks, and it could function like a dash in and then ejects you to a safe distance like Pikachu's Volt Tackle, or it could function like Zeraora's Volt Switch, having Sharpedo dash in, then hitting the button again makes you dash back. Waterfall or Liquidation is another move Sharpedo could utilize. Waterfall would be similar to how I mentioned on Dracovish, being a dash and stunning. Then Liquidation could be a dash with the target having its defenses lowered after the hit temporarily. Crunch can be given to Sharpedo as well, dealing solid damage to anything in front while lowering defense just like Liquidation, allowing Sharpedo to keep putting on the pressure on the debuffed opponents or wild Pokemon. It could also have Payback, where Sharpedo takes a hit and then uses this attack. The opponent takes double damage from the hit, allowing Sharpedo to quickly weaken foes and be especially deadly in 1v1 scenarios. Sharpedo's passive for its ability could either be Rough Skin or Speed Boost. Rough Skin would work the same as Garchomp's, dealing damage when Sharpedo is hit, but Speed Boost could be unique. Sharpedo may be granted a movement speed buff upon getting to half HP or less, for example, allowing it to try and escape or fight back with a buff to help it out. Sharpedo is another Pokemon I really think would work well in this game, and really want to see it. Another water type, but also an ice type, we have Cloyster. Cloyster is a bit of a weird one coming up for a concept for, but I really like Cloyster, so I threw it in here nonetheless. I put Cloyster as a defender due to its really high defense stat. One of Cloyster's moves could be Icicle Spear, where the game would allow it to be stacked 5 times passively over time. Then after one is shot, have a 1-second cooldown before Cloyster can fire again. Once all 5 are used up, there could be a more reasonable 6 or 7-ish cooldown before it can be used again. It could have Shell Smash like Crustle, giving it movement speed buff while dealing more damage, trading off with some lowered defensives. Cloyster could also get Ice Beam, dealing damage from afar and freezing an opponent shortly. Razor Shell is another move that Cloyster could use. It'd deal damage to an opponent in front of Cloyster, while also lowering their defense temporarily. For its passive, Skilling doesn't seem to translate well into Pokémon Unite, so we'll look at Shell Armor and Overcoat. Out of the two, I really like Shell Armor. It makes it so that another Pokemon can't critical hit Cloyster. This would be great counter to Pokemon like Absol and Greninja, who tend to like to use Scope Lens and deal a lot of damage from crits. Overcoat's pretty useful too though, negating powder moves in the original games. Overcoat in this game could prevent certain debuffs from another Pokemon, but I still like Shell Armor as a great passive ability. Here comes the third water type in a row, Starmie. Another Gen 1 classic. Starmie is another great Pokemon I want to see in the game. It's got a huge move pool, having many different types of attacks. Its unique thing could be you never know what different types of moves a Starmie will be running if you see one on the opponent's team. Or it could still go for the standard water and psychic moves. There's a lot of options. Starmie could either be an attacker or a speedster, but later on there are some speedster specific Pokemon on my list, so we'll put Starmie as an attacker. Starmie could have Scald for damaging and burning opponents in the same way Slowbro Scald work, but up the damage output of the move. Starmie could also get Hydro Pump or Surf, depending on if we want to give Starmie another linear attack or an AoE attack. Surf could hit multiple opponents moving them around, while Hydro Pump could do big damage and shove opponents like Blastoise's Hydro Pump. Starmie could also get Psyshock and Psychic similar to Gardevoir. Psyshock can function sort of the same, or combine it into one big hit to differentiate it. While Psychic could add its own spin to it, maybe picking up an opponent like Slowbro's Telekinesis, but not for as long. The pickup could also do damage and the opponent could be placed down after the move. Recover is another option for Starmie, and it could help it with its survivability. Starmie has a few options for its passive. It could have Illuminate, which would draw in wild Pokemon to Starmie when they got close. This would be really good, especially if Starmie was in the jungle, allowing for quicker clears, and even just good in trying to take an opponent's wild Pokemon. Analytics is another option, which would be the same as Porygon-Z's version, where if Starmie takes the hit first, the next attack deals more damage. Natural Cure is another option. It could work by getting rid of slows, burns, freezes, and other hindrances faster than other Pokemon can. Starmie would be a fun Pokemon to try in this game. Taking a break from water types, next up is Aegislash, my favorite Gen 6 Pokemon and overall cool and unique Pokemon. I think Aegislash would be an all-rounder, as it would have the unique mechanic of changing its stance, giving it different play options and being good at multiple different things. Let's talk about stance change first. This is Aegislash's ability, and would be its passive. I don't think passive should function by having their own button, hence the term passive, so not button for changing forms. Instead, stance change would work by having Aegislash change forms depending on the move it's using. King Shield would change it back to shield form while lowering attack of opponents trying to attack Aegislash shortly after this move is used. It could also have Sacred Sword or Shadow Ball, giving a choice for a melee attack or ranged attack depending on player preference. Either of these attacking moves would change Aegislash into Blade form, and it wouldn't be able to switch back until using King Shield again. Though, not taking King Shield as a move would hurt Aegislash quite a lot, and force players to choose that option. So maybe even if Aegislash is out of combat for about 5 seconds or so, it auto-reverts to Shield form, and having King Shield will protect and allow Aegislash to change back quicker. Auto-attack should leave Aegislash in whichever form it's in, I think, allowing it to choose whether or not to do little but safe damage in Shield form, or high but risky damage in Blade form. When in Blade form, Aegislash will have its attacks and defense swap, making it very frail but quite the powerhouse. Then, in Shield form, it'll be very tanky, but not deal as much damage from its autos. Another move Aegislash could have would be Sword Stance. This move would raise Aegislash's attack a lot for a short time, dealing massive damage to opponents. Since it's a status move, Aegislash could use this while staying in Shield form, allowing it to have more powerful autos while being tanky, or just do insane damage by quickly using a special move after the Sword Stance buff. Aegislash would bring a very unique playstyle into Pokémon Unite. And we're back to water types, this time with Golisopod. This is my favorite Gen 7 Pokemon, and recently I've been using it and really liking it in Pokemon Sword and Shield rank battles. It's not the greatest, but it's got some good matchups against popular Pokemon. I can see Golisopod being either a defender or all-rounder, but I'll go with defender for its good defense stat. Some moves Golisopod could have are Aqua Jet and Liquidation. Aqua Jet could be a quick dash-in move for dealing some damage on opponents trying to escape, or just for a quick movement option. Liquidation can hit opponents in front of Golisopod, while lowering their defense in the process. Golisopod would need to have First Impression. This move could have huge range, allowing Golisopod to strike an opponent first before they even get the chance to attack, to mimic its high priority in the main games. It could also have Leech Life, dealing solid damage to an opponent in front of it, while stealing some of the HP and making a Golisopod's own. For the passive, Golisopod would have Emergency Exit. This would allow Golisopod to escape a fight when its HP drops below half. It could work by sending Golisopod quickly backwards, away from the opponent it was fighting in order for an escape. It'd be sort of like a quick teleport, like an eject button. In team fights where Golisopod was caught in the middle of two opponents, it wouldn't be very helpful, and it would be trapped no matter where it tried to escape. And that concludes part 1 of my Pokemon Unite wishlist. I felt this video would be too long to have the entire thing together, so I made it into 2 parts for you to continue viewing at your own time. Thanks for watching, remember to like and subscribe, and go check out part 2!